In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the Google Click ID, the GCLID upload process to make sure your conversion tracking in AdWords is as accurate as possible. More on that right after this. So if you're watching this video, it means that you've noticed a difference in accuracy inside of your Google Ads or the artist formerly known as AdWords account. You've seen a drop off from your pixels. Sometimes we're seeing somewhere between 20 and 40% drop off in accuracy. You need to fix that, and this is how you're going to do it. So let me talk for a second about the problem. Pixels are not a great solution any longer. There's browser blockers. Everything is client side, so it's easy to break. And the information about when they convert isn't stored at the contact inside of your CRM. It's stored inside of that little cookie. That is not where you want the information. You want the information on the back end with you, and that's why we use click IDs. So that's every click has a unique ID from these ad networks. It's a very long string of numbers that, when we talk about permutations, there's billions of clicks and probably trillions. There's a lot of clicks every year, and so they have enough permutations of this long string to be able to assign a unique ID to every single click. What you're going to do is you're going to grab that click ID, you're going to pull it into your CRM with your conversion. So that may be when you generate a lead, when someone books a phone call, when you generate a sale. You want to make sure that that click ID is stored with your contact records. And then what you're going to do is you're going to grab that click ID out of your contact record and post it back into an ad network whenever they convert, whenever they opt in or buy or whatever those things are. And when you do it this way, this is server to server, so it's much more accurate than it is using the front end pixel side. So this isn't something new, not really. It's new for us as advertisers, especially if you're in the brand or the agency side. This is something you haven't been used to, but affiliates have been using this for years. They don't have a huge amount of trust with ad networks, so they use third-party click trackers, which generate their own click IDs. And then what they do is use post-back URLs to send the conversion information back, and then they would fire the pixels from their click trackers. Well, all we're doing is removing the middleman. These ad networks have noticed that pixels are becoming a problem, and so they've actually started to expose their click IDs. So I took 3 pictures for you here on the screen. This is a Facebook click ID. Now, Facebook is not allowing us to post this information back yet, but the fact that they're showing it means that this is on the horizon. This is a double-click ID from the Google side. This is double-click ad exchange. So here's this, and then GCLID is the Google click ID, which we're talking about in this one. As you can see here, these are very long strings of numbers, meaning there are tons of clicks, and every click gets its own ID. What we have to talk about is how do you get this into your CRM, how do you extract it out, and then how do you post it back to the ad network? That's going to be the entire process we're talking about. So how do we actually use these? Well, first thing we're going to do is talk about the correct tracking parameters. For Google, we're going to use value track in order to pass the click ID over, which I'll explain here in a second. Then we're going to store it inside of our CRM, and then we're going to post it back to the ad account. So let's dive in. Number one, using value track parameters. So I have a whole video on this. Number one, about what value track parameters are, and number two, how to put tracking links into your Google Ads. I've got videos for both of those. But essentially what's going on is Google has what we call dynamic tracking macros, which essentially have all of this data in their back end, and they allow us to use a couple of these dynamic parameters inside of our ads that whenever we want to understand the ID of the ad that someone clicked on, we just insert creative, and it'll pull out that ID so that way we know this ad generated this conversion. Well, we have to add, as you can see here on the screen, bracket GCLID in order to pull through that click ID into our CRM. So once again, I've got a full tutorial on these, but essentially what you need to know is you need to be adding to your Google Ads a parameter that uses this to pull through the information about what that click ID, this guy right here, this number is going to pull through into your tracking links, and then it's going to be pulled into your CRM. So how you actually set this up, once again, I've got a full tutorial on this, just showing you quickly. You put your actual landing page right here, so this would be AdSkills.com, into your final URL, and then down here underneath your advanced options, your ad URL options, you're going to use a tracking template. If you use a tracker, you would put it in like this. If you don't use a tracker, which I would imagine most of you don't, you're just going to use LP URL in brackets, which is going to pull this information down here and add this tracking information to the end. As you can see, I've highlighted the GCLID, the GCLID, to make sure that you can see that this is going to be pulled into this S4 parameter. Maybe yours is UTM term, so that way it's going to get pulled into the keyword if you're using Google Analytics, whatever those things are. But essentially, this is how you add your tracking link to your ad so it will pull through that click ID. Step number 2, capture inside of your CRM. So for email, if you're using something like Infusionsoft, you can use the hidden fields to look for a particular parameter inside of your ad. So let's say it's S3 is your GCLID, or maybe you just named it GCLID, so it'd be GCLID equals, and then the parentheses GCLID, so it pulls that through. Inside of Infusionsoft, you can have it look inside of the URL and grab that value out and place it inside of the contact record. Affiliate tracking, we use S parameters. Google Analytics, use UTMs. Here's the thing. There are so many CRMs out there. Everyone's like, well, how do I do mine? I'm working on this. This is going to take me a long time because there are so many tools that people are using. Some people use ClickFunnels. Some people use Infusionsoft. Some people use Unbounce. Some people use, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So I'm working on this. This is the area that you need to really focus. Is how do you get this information into your CRM, and then how do you get it back out? So I'll show you here quickly. This is inside of our affiliate tracking tool called Cake. As you can see here, I put my GCLID, the Google Click IDs, inside of S4. This is what they look like inside of our CRM. So what I'm looking at here is, since there was a purchase right here, I'm going to grab this Google Click ID, and I want to post back for this particular sale to say, hey, Google, this person bought. And so that's really the piece that now we're feeding that information back, and they're able to move forward. We have very accurate conversion tracking. We're not depending on the pixel. So number 3, how do we actually post it back to Google? So I'll show you here in a second. There's a Google Sheet template that we get this information back into Google. We upload it into Google Ads. It's an automated process that you can turn on to fetch once a day. We erase the click IDs using a macro, which I'll show you how to do, and then we would repeat every single day. And then finally, so here's what the upload process looks like. I'll walk you through this here in just a second. Finally, you want to automate this. So if we use Zapier webhooks a lot. In order to API the information over to the sheet. If you can build a custom API, that's great, to grab the click IDs out of your CRM, put them into Google Sheets along with the timestamp that it happened, the value of the conversion, the name, etc. I'll walk you through that. You'll schedule your Google uploads, which is very easy, and then you'll wipe your Google Click IDs with a sheet macro, which I'll show you how to do here in just a second. So before we get into the tutorial part, what you have to focus on is how do you get your click IDs into your CRM, and then how do you get them from the CRM to the sheet? That's the piece that if you can figure this out on your end, this will make everything a lot faster. I'm working on this, but if you're waiting on a solution for me, it's going to take a while. Very busy guy, got a lot of stuff going on. So I'll work on having tutorials for you, but this is really the place that you need to focus to begin. All right, let's head over and talk about how this works. Okay, so I'm inside of my AdWords account, and I came to Tools, Conversions, and now I'm in here. So let me just zoom in so you can see this. So clicked on Uploads, and inside of here, I just click the blue plus sign. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a Google Sheet. I want to show you how this happens. So click View Templates, and then clicks from Conversions, we want to use the Google Sheet. So this is essentially the setup. This is the information that we have to pass back into Google for it to be able to go in and upload a conversion. So what I do here is I make a copy. This is the copy that I made. So a couple important things to look at here. Number 1, you have to change the parameters time zone. Let me zoom in here so you can see this better. So parameters time zone, you have to insert the time zone. So there's a whole list of them on Google. I always set them for Los_Angeles. So it's on Pacific time. It works better for me sometimes, even if you're on Eastern time and you set it for Eastern time. So I'm in Detroit. I would set this as Detroit. Sometimes it says the click ID came before the actual time. So I'm just, by setting it back 3 hours, it still assigns it to the same day, but we just have better results with that. So that's the way that I do this. I would try your time zone, and then if you're having errors with the uploads, then you can go back and change the time zone a couple hours. So once you do that, now you have to come in here and put the click ID in. So I'm just going to put a random string of numbers, the conversion name. So I typically name mine something like purchase fixed pixel, or sorry, upload. And so what you need to make sure that you do is you're using the exact name of the conversion inside of your account. So if I come in here into conversion actions, it's fixed upload. So I would just copy this. This is what would go, so this would be fixed upload. Copy that perfectly. Okay, the conversion time. So this should be from your CRM. When you pass this information back, it should be in here. Now the one thing I have to point out is the way you format this. You're gonna go to format number and then more formats. And we need to do, this is going to be a date. So we're going to do, month/day, year, 4 of those. And then we're doing hour, minute, second, and then AM, PM. Let me just double click. Yep. Okay, and then we click apply. So this is the format that you have to have your columns in. No question, it has to be in this format. If you don't, it won't work. So once you get that formatted, we'll say that this is 66 and the conversion currency is USD. Whatever your conversion is, I don't remember what it is. So this is the information that would need to be uploaded into Google. So what we would do at this point is we would go, whoops, I don't need a new action. Okay, so at this point, I have to come in and select my source. I'm going to use a Google Sheet. So the one thing you have to see here is it says right here, make sure you've shared your Google Sheet with this. So you want to make sure that you copy this whole thing right here, and then you would come into your Google Sheet, you click share, and then you would share it with this. So I'm not going to go through and finish the process. Once you've done that, you'll preview. If there's any errors, you'll go through and fix them, and then you'll click apply. That's essentially how the process works of getting the information from the sheet into Google. Once you do that once, you confirm it works, then you can come in and create a schedule. So what I would do is you're going to grab the Google Sheet that you want it from. So I'm just going to, once again, this is just an example. Frequency, I do this every 24 hours. And I do this at like 3 a.m. to make sure that we don't have any issues, because we have to first go in and upload the data, and then we have to go in and wipe the Click ID data to make it automated. So this is how we do that. I'd click save and preview and then make sure that fetches. The last thing that we have to do is come in here and wipe this, the Click ID on a daily basis. So here's how you do that. You would click on Tools, Macros, Record Macro. And so right now it's recording and we're using absolute references. So what we want to do here is we're going to go down to the first row after Click ID. We're going to use Shift Command, whatever yours is on your computer, go all the way across to conversion currency and then down to the bottom, and you're going to click Delete. And then you will come all the way back up to the top to reset everything. So I'll click save, and I'm going to call this wipe Click ID macro, save. And so now I'm just going to put a couple more in here just so you can see that this works. So if we go add-ons, tools, macros, wipe Click ID, bam, deleted, now back up to the top. Okay, so that works. So now what we have to do is automate this piece. So with the macros, we would come into script editor. And this is pretty cool. This is something a lot of people don't know how to do, so I'm excited to show you this. So we are going to turn on triggers. So we will go to edit, oops, let me zoom in here again. Edit, current projects triggers. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna set this to run on a daily basis. So add trigger. We want it to run the wipe Click ID. This is the macro that we've got. Head, we want it to run time driven, hour timer, and we want it, oops, I want this to run specific date. No. So we want this to run from 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. Is when this is going to run. So remember, we're having our Click IDs uploaded at 3 a.m. and then we're wiping the sheet at 4 a.m. to make sure that there's no data overlap. Our campaigns are off overnight, so this works for us. If it doesn't work for you, then I would go in and figure out a time that's going to work for you. I would notify you immediately if something doesn't work, then you click save. So just to recap, number one, we got our sheet set up properly. We've got the time zone in here, and we've got the information in. Once again, the formatting on this date is the most important piece of this outside of the time zone, just to make sure that the dates are in there correctly. Once we get that into place, we come in, we upload it into AdWords. So once again, select, you're gonna use your Google Sheet, you're gonna choose that, you're gonna share that sheet with AdWords itself. You click preview, make sure there aren't any errors. Once you're good, you'll click apply, and those will be uploaded and assigned to your correct campaigns. Then you're gonna come through and you're gonna schedule this to happen on a daily basis. Once again, ours is done at 3 a.m., whatever works best for you. And then what you're gonna do is come in and build that macro to wipe the sheet. So number one, go through and build it so it actually does it. And then number two, you're gonna go through to schedule it so it happens on a daily basis. That is how you do the Google Click ID upload process. Once again, the most important piece for you to figure out now is how do you get the Google Click IDs into your CRM, and then how do you get them back out and in here into the sheet. Once you have that figured out, everything is automated. You're gonna be at a great stage. So that's really the piece. I'll be working on this for the next probably year to make sure I've got as much information inside of all these different CRMs as possible. But really that's the piece. If you can figure that out, it's a massive help. Please ask any questions or comments down below. You're also welcome to hit me up in Pro League. I can help out there individually on those projects. Other than that, I hope this was very helpful for you. This is a very cool thing that's helped our accuracy tremendously in order to be able to continue to scale our campaigns. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks so much. Have a good one. If you found this tutorial helpful, make sure you click on the subscribe button on the screen right now. Also, if you'd like to join the Daily Edge and get the daily dose of what's working in paid traffic and tracking, you can text Daily Edge to 44222.